But my red pill moment was Gretchen Whitmer. This story never got enough attention, but it blew the whole thing open for me. It was October 8th, 2020, and it was announced that the FBI foiled an extremist plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. It was right in the beginnings of COVID, and some domestic terrorists were very upset at her, and they were going to kidnap her. And the FBI foiled this at the last second, no doubt. And it was one of the greatest, most epic domestic terror takedowns in our lifetime. Well done, FBI. Well done. And then some more information started to come out. And the media never covered the rest of the story because they got what they needed. They got domestic terrorists, Trump bad, white supremacists, wanted to murder a Democrat, case closed for them. But then we started to get some more information, like one of the FBI agents leveraged his FBI experience with this private security company that he started. And that's corrupt, you can't do that. And he was taken off the list of witnesses for the upcoming trial. Okay, that's interesting. Then another FBI agent who was the face of the operation, he was the public face of the operation, he was charged with beating his wife when they returned home from a swingers party. So he was fired, only hiring our best and brightest. Then a third FBI agent was accused of perjury. So he was taken off the trial list. And then I started asking, well, hold on. How many FBI agents were there in this case? And then you have the FBI informants. So an informant is when a citizen works with law enforcement, or the FBI in this case, undercover. Right? So they're confidentially working with the FBI. So an FBI informant was indicted on a gun charge and was under investigation for fraud. So I'm like, whoa, hold on. What's going on here? Turns out 14 men were accused of being involved in this plot to kidnap the governor. How many FBI agents and informants do you think there were? 14 men accused of wanting to kidnap the governor. Do you know how many FBI agents there were? At least 12 informants and at least 3 FBI agents. So there were more FBI agents and informants than people arrested. It's unbelievable. Nearly, at least half of the gang of kidnappers were working for the FBI. And then one of the informants had this rap sheet going back to the 80s, including sex with a minor. And then he was involved in a murder case in the 80s and the early 2000s. And he was working with the FBI to recruit people to a Facebook page that the FBI set up themselves. And at one of the meetings that they had, he came up with this idea to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. Unbelievable. Some of the people who were arrested say this one informant called them every day, getting them worked up and saying, we got to do something. This is called entrapment. Entrapment is when law enforcement entices someone to break the law and convinces them to do something that they otherwise wouldn't have done. Right? So we have the exact definition up on the screen here, but it's when a normally law-abiding individual is induced into committing a criminal act because of overbearing harassment and flattery or threats or fraud. So one night, I believe that's what happened here. One of our guests is a foremost expert on this. We'll talk with her coming up in a little bit, get some more details. But one night, 12 men went to go check out Gretchen Whitmer's cabin. And there was a bridge they were going to blow up as well, right, after they kidnapped her. And of the 12 men who were on this nighttime surveillance, 4 of them were FBI agents and informants. So there's no telling what the informants encouraged everyone to do and how much they were actually taking the leadership role. So listen, there's a ton there. We're going to go over more with our next guest. But this was the first time when I was like, wait a second. What did the FBI do? So I started to do more research. And the FBI has a long history of entrapment. And we don't have to go that far back, just what the FBI did after 9/11 to Muslims in America. In 2008, an FBI informant recorded hours of conversation with 4 men in the Bronx. And the plot that the FBI informant came up with was to bomb 2 synagogues in the Bronx and then use Stinger missiles to shoot down military cargo planes. But it was entrapment. The informant offered $250,000, a free paid vacation in a car to one of the suspects with help with the attack. You can't do that. You can't do that. There was another case known as the Fort Dix 5. and it was a fake plot to attack the military base in New Jersey. One informant had attempted murder on his record, and another admitted in court that at least 3 of the 5 people jailed for life knew nothing about the plot. What? Huh. I'll give you one more example of entrapment. All right? And there, again, examples going back decades. This one was in 2017. There was an FBI investigation known as Ballers. Now, there's another criticism of the FBI is that they're doing stupid stuff like this. I thought about this with the college admissions scandal. Did you ever watch that documentary on Netflix? What are these people who would make up these stories about their kid being like the best pole vaulter in the state? He's never pole vaulted in order to get into college. And the FBI investigated that. It's like, come on. Anyway, there's a case, an investigation called Ballers with a Z. And FBI agents, they went to Vegas with $135,000 cash to try and bribe college basketball coaches to get their players to sign with a sports management company when they turn pro. So the agents gave $40,000 to coaches as they walked into their Vegas penthouse that they rented for the week. They ended up arresting 10 coaches on bribery charges. But they were like lower middlemen, lesser, no one knows or cares about coaches, and most of them black, by the way. And ultimately, no one was charged because the head coaches were like, what are you guys doing? This is not a common practice until you, FBI, you started handing out envelopes of cash in Vegas penthouses. You guys totally created a thing and then arrested people for the thing you created. What a total waste of time and money and ruined lives for absolutely nothing. They have gone too far. We're going to talk to an FBI whistleblower coming up about a document he discovered from the Richmond field office talking about radical traditionalist Catholics, RTCs they're called, and how the FBI believes that they could mitigate the threat of RTCs by recruiting sources within the Catholic Church. Wow. Who knows what the FBI and who they were going to set up in that operation? What was their plan exactly? And radical Catholics? Another example of their corruption, we know that the FBI interfered in the election. That's an absolute fact. The Hunter Biden laptop. You know the whole backstory by now. The New York Post published it, and they got banned from Twitter. You couldn't share it anywhere. Couldn't post it. Couldn't post it at all. It was unbelievable. I'll never forget it. Saw the story on Twitter, and you want to retweet, and it was like, sorry, I can't. Blocked the New York Post out of their Twitter account until they deleted it. It's unbelievable. This was 2 weeks before the election. Total, complete censoring. So Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, was on Joe Rogan's podcast relatively recently, and he said the FBI came to them and said there's Russian propaganda, be on high alert. So the FBI went to Facebook before the laptop story even hit the New York Post, saying, hey, watch out for this type of story, it's Russian propaganda. So the FBI used their power to silence the freedom of the press and freedom of speech to benefit a political candidate 2 weeks before the election. It's as clear as day. And then how much of this corruption was at play on January 6th? Will we ever know how many FBI agents were instigating? How many were in the crowd, and then to what extent they were instigating or just following? People are starting to wake up to the corruption of the FBI, there's no question. People aren't trusting the FBI. Ted Cruz was here on the first saying not to trust the FBI. So you got the head of the FBI going on Fox News to try and repair the FBI's reputation. Here's what Chris Wray, head of the FBI, said about the COVID lab leak.
The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan.
Wow, shocker, huh? Leaked from a lab. So welcome to the party, FBI. But I wonder if the FBI will throw out some more bones to the American people to try to build some of their credibility back. But he's got a lot of work to do. No question about that. After the FBI raided Donald Trump's house back August 2022, a Gallup poll, they asked, is the FBI doing a good job? 79% of Democrats said yes. 29% of Republicans said the agency is doing a good job. That's a 50-point difference. So we got some trust issues here, FBI, and I don't think it's entirely unwarranted. So what is going on with the FBI? I hear a lot of Republicans say we need to defund them. What does that mean? How at least can we get them back to their core mission? What was their core mission? Why did they start? How has mission creep wandered? How much has mission creep creeped over these last 100 years of the FBI? Hey, thanks for watching that clip about our special on the FBI. Forever, my thoughts on the FBI were like, I don't know, I guess they're okay. But the more I learn, man, the more red flags there are out there. And there's still so much to find out. So great special, talk to an FBI whistleblower, talk to someone who's suing the FBI because they're not forthcoming with the truth. Talked to an expert about January 6th, talked all about Gretchen Whitmer. It was a really great special. It's called Departments of Corruption. You can download it, you can watch it on our app, the First TV app for free. Just download the First TV and you can watch it there or thefirsttv.com.